My name's Rob Saxon, if you haven't heard that already. I'm with the Detroit Land Bank. I am the chief architect. What does that mean? What is chief architect? You win the auction, you close on the property, I'm the guy, or one of my staff is going to contact you, and we're going to try our best to hold your hand to make sure you get to the end with a legal, healthy, safe home. All right? That's my contact information. Feel free to call it. If you send me an email's probably the best. I will get to you. I get tons of emails. I promise I will get to you. All right. The topic of this workshop is the purchase agreement, but I'm going to focus on the part of the purchase agreement that talks about what you have to do after you close on the property. Okay, I'm not the lawyer. I don't know the legalese of all that stuff that happens before the closing. My expertise is in the rehab part of it. So I'm going to focus on what my team is looking for as you go through the rehab process. And you'll notice a lot of stuff I'm going to be talking about if you're unfortunate or fortunate enough to sit through all these workshops. I'll be repeating a lot of stuff that was said earlier. And I don't think anybody in here was at the earlier ones. So I think it's good that I repeat it. All right. So the first thing, you cannot start work until you close on the property. That might sound pretty obvious to you, all right? But some people don't realize that. They think they win the auction. Man, they're in their pickup truck, they're parked in the driveway, they start painting, ripping stuff out. No. Do not start the work until you close on the property, all right? Once you close, you get title to the property, and now legally, you can go down to the Coleman Municipal Building and file for permits and do everything legally. So do not start until you close. Now, in that period between the closing, between you win the auction and the closing, you can, and I highly recommend you make appointments to go check out the house, okay? And I do that because you might have a contractor or a home inspector. That's the time when you're trying to figure out what your budget is, how much is this going to cost me. It's like going to the doctor. For $25, non-refundable, you make an appointment with us. I'll send Mark Pettaway from our office. He will meet you there. He will open it up for 3 hours. He will allow you to do your thing. You call him, I'm done. He'll lock the house back up. Before you go in that house, you're going to be asked to sign a waiver. That's basically saying if you fall down the stairs or fall through a floor, you're not going to sue us. Don't know if that piece of paper is actually going to protect us, but we limit access to the interior of the house before the auction to these open houses. So that's the only time you can get in these houses is in the open house. And then after the auction, you make an appointment with us and we'll open it up for you. All right? Do not start work until you close on the property. All right. When you sign a purchase agreement at closing, there's going to be some milestones listed in there. The first milestone is after 14 days. And I'm paraphrasing. After 14 days, we want photos of the outside of the house to show that the house is secure. It's secured, and from the front side, that the front side and backyards are maintained. All right, what does that mean? I just want to know that people aren't going in and out of that house willy-nilly, and I want to know that that house is not a nuisance to the neighbors anymore. So I want to see and you can see a sample. Send me a picture of the front, rear, side, and maybe the doors that have locks on them. That's all you got to do, and you meet the 14-day requirement. Use your cell phone, take them, and just email it to the number you saw up there, all right? Or email it to my email address. Yep. You send it to my phone or email it to R. Saxon. You're done. Simple. Now, the next milestone is the 30-day milestone. Now, after 30 days, we want evidence that you're going to have the ability to renovate the property. Now, what does that mean? There's two tracks. If you are a do-it-yourselfer and you're doing all the work by yourself, what I'm asking for is that you send me some receipts. You don't have to send me all the receipts, but send me receipts and you can see what this particular person sent me. Just take a picture of it with your phone again or scan it in and email it to me. I'm just looking for evidence that you're off to a good start. All right, and I'm going to look at kind of what you're buying. I want to see that here we go, baby. We're starting a race. We're off to a good start. All right, I want to see receipts. If you are working with a contractor, or maybe you're hiring multiple contractors to do different pieces of the work, send me the invoice or the agreement that you have with that contractor. For example, here's an invoice from Wallside. This person had windows installed on his property. Send me that invoice from Wallside. On the top here, someone had an invoice with a roofer. Send me that invoice, and I want to see what work that they're doing for you, how much it cost, and I want to see the date so I can see when they're going to do the work. Again, what I'm looking for is that you're off to a good start and you're starting to run and you're in first place and you're going to get that gold medal, okay? I want to see evidence that you're off to a good start. All right, let's go back. Let's take a step back now. Let's talk about the pre-sale report. And a lot of you heard me talk about this already. The pre-sale report is your guide. That's the most important thing that you get when you win an auction property. The pre-sale report, and if Harry Hummer was the inspector here earlier, and if you didn't see that, it's going to be on our website. The pre-sale report tells you exactly what the city wants you to fix in order for you to live in that house. So, I can't say this enough. Spend, especially if you're a do-it-yourselfer, and I know these budgets are tight, spend your money on the items on the pre-sale report. I know you want granite countertops, but that's not going to help you live in that house. I know you want those pretty curtains on the front window, but that's not going to get you into the house. Spend your money on the items listed in the pre-sale report. Now, you folks here in Marygrove get a bonus. You also get, as you see on the right, something called what I call a scope of work document. And as you might have heard me say before, we got a pilot program to do 28 houses, which included all but one of the houses that are in the Marygrove auction. And what that scope of work document is, a home inspector went into each one of those houses, listed out the items that were wrong, and gave an estimate, a range, a high and low range of how much it's going to cost to fix that house. So now you're off, and now you've got a real jump on how much, of establishing a budget, how much is this going to cost. Once you win the auction, we'll give you the full document with all these numbers filled in. And now, what you can do with that now, you can take this blank document and give it to a contractor and have him fill in those numbers, all right? And now, you give that to 3 contractors, he fills in those numbers for you. Now you can competitively get the cheapest one. And the beauty of it is, you see exactly what work you can see exactly what work you're paying for. And now you can also negotiate with them. So like if there's painting, you can say, hey, Mr. Contractor, I'm going to do the painting myself. So cross that out. So now you've got a negotiation tool also to kind of bring that price down so you can fit within your budgets. The other beauty of this document is if you go into a bank and you're trying to get financing, now you've got a document that tells a bank exactly what improvements you're making to that property so that they can make an accurate appraisal of the value of that property at the end of the project. And that's going to help you get a loan. All right? Does that all make sense? Yes.
Once I download these documents, are they going to be edited? I'm going to be able to edit them once I download them?
The document that you're going to download before the auction is not editable. That's a PDF. You win the auction, and we'll give you one that is editable. And it'll be in Excel. This is an Excel document. We'll make it edit. We want you to use that document. And like if you go to Liberty Bank, we're already working with them. They're familiar with this. They worked with us in developing this. They know exactly what we're doing.
Okay, any other bank you want to list right now besides Liberty?
Talmer was out there. Talmer is on the list. We're getting to First Merit, but Liberty is the bank that we've been working with the most on making this work.
Okay.
All right, like I said, this is a limited pilot program.
Okay.
So, and we're out there trying to get some more money so we can make this available to every house that we do.
Wonderful.
All right, I think it's wonderful. Yes, yes. Say that to our board members so we can do this at more houses. Okay, the other thing I want to point out is, and some of you weren't here, here's the pre-sale report. And at the bottom of the pre-sale report, you see these little numbers right here, interior E6 and an interior E10. Well, that's the inspector's way of telling you what he wants permits for. So he wants you to get an electrical permit for E6, which is for unapproved wiring, if you can see that. And he wants you to get an electrical permit for E10, which is you need a 20 amp receptacle in the basement for a dryer. All right? So when you go down to the city and you apply for a permit, you're only applying, you're getting that permit only for those items, not for everything.
Can I mention that by getting the permit, you assume the liability for it being completed properly, but if you require the contractor to pull a permit, they are liable for completing it properly, and they'll have to comply with the codes.
So what I've
They'll be
noticed,
inspected too, so they'll be held feet to the fire by the inspector.
absolutely.
So it's much better.
A lot of folks are do-it-yourselfers and they're trying to keep the price down. One of them knows a lot of people are applying for permits as the homeowner and taking it upon themselves, or they have a relative, their brother-in-law is an electrician, so they get the permit themselves. But you're right, they're taking on their own liability. That's the next slide. No, it's this here. I'll skip ahead. So here's a sample permit. Here's a sample permit right here. And just like the gentleman said, down here, if your contractor was filling out the permit, he'd fill out this section. But if you want, the city of Detroit allows the homeowner to do it, and that affidavit basically says what the gentleman was saying. You're taking responsibility that all the work being done is going to be done correctly. All right, we'll go back.
I have a brother that's a contractor in Chicago, and he would help us. So, yeah.
He has to be registered in the city of Detroit, all right, in order to pull a permit.
In order to pull a permit, but we can pull a permit.
You just got to make sure he gets registered. And I would recommend also, if when you do hire a contractor, not only that they're registered, make sure they're insured. Make sure they're insured.
Okay.
Make sure they're insured, okay? Because that means if that guy walks away from the job halfway through it, or if that guy puts a hole in the wall in your kitchen when he was supposed to be working in the dining room, there's a way to get it fixed. All right, so make sure they're insured. All right, let's take a step back to the pre-sale report. So again, on the first page of the pre-sale report, the inspector tells you in this section right here, and I blew it up right here. He tells you right here what permits, he wants you to get. So in this case, he wants you to get an electrical permit, a mechanical permit, a plumbing permit, those 3 permits. So the front of your pre-sale report tells you what permits he wants you to get. Now, why is he asking for those permits? Remember, and I was just at a house on Friday, he's annoyed at all this paperwork and all these extra fees. The purpose of these permits is, first of all, to protect your health and welfare, okay? Especially if you're getting an electrical permit as a homeowner, we don't want you to electrocute yourself or to flip that switch and light your house on fire, okay? So we want to make sure that someone that knows what they're talking about is going back out there and making sure that the work was done correctly. Okay, that's the first thing I want you to know. The second thing is that, so you get each permit, You get the electrical, mechanical, plumbing. All right. So that's the main thing, is just that it's protecting your welfare. All right. Now, the second thing is the pre-sale inspector. He's like the general practitioner. All right. He's like your family doctor. He knows a little bit about everything. But if my foot hurts, your family practitioner will say, well, go see a podiatrist. Oh, man, my back hurts. Okay, here, go see a chiropractor. So the pre-sale inspector knows a little bit about everything, but he's not an expert in electric, mechanical, and plumbing. He wants to rely on those guys' expertise to make sure you did the work right. So before he even does his final inspection, when you do all the work and you're ready to do your final inspection, he's going to check and make sure that you pulled those permits and that those permits were approved and guarantee that the work was done properly. And then now he's going to do the rest of the review. So don't try and cheat and not get permits. Get those permits.
How much do the permits cost?
All right, I'm going to get to that. I know how much is this going to cost me. It's the city trying to take more from me. Remember, this is to protect you, okay? And that fee you're paying is the fee to pay for that inspector to come out and check the work out. All right. So here's the permit application. So you'll fill it out. You'll go up to the 4th floor of the Coleman A. Young Municipal Building. You'll go to a little desk right there. I think it says room 408. It says there's a little big pink or red board with white letters and says 408 permits. You're going to fill out that form. You're going to put on that form the work that was listed on the pre-sale report. So if you're going for an electrical permit and it's there because you got to put new wiring in, that's all you're going to put in there. You write that on there. You're going to show them proof that if you're the homeowner, if you're doing the permit as a homeowner, you're going to show them proof that you own the property, all right? Show them proof. They're going to hand you back a piece of paper on the right. That's the electrical permit. That's the permit that says, okay, go ahead, do the work. So you're going to go ahead, get that piece of paper. At the top of that piece of paper is a phone number right up here. You can see it on this permit. The permit was issued so that they could put in new 100 amp service right here. New 100 amp service. And I'll get to the cost in a minute. You get that permit, do the work, you call that number, guy comes out, you call that number, he'll tell you what day he's coming out, and then that day of, he'll call when he'll be there at your house. And then if the work looks good, he'll put a little green sticker on it that says it's approved. You're ready to go. Now, let's talk about cost. For electrical, plumbing, and mechanical permits, it's pretty straightforward. And I've got copies. If you send me an email, I'll send you copies. You flip that same page over and it'll list all the costs. For example, for a plumbing permit, like to install a toilet, it's a $50 flat fee plus $30 for each item that you're doing. So if you put in a toilet, it's $30. If you put in a lavatory, it's $30. So what we said earlier this morning, allow for about $80 to $150 per permit. So if you want to budget this out for your permits, budget out about $500 for permits. If you had to get all the permits, budget out about $500. But it's roughly, for the plumbing, mechanical, and electrical permits, it's what you're doing. You're putting in a furnace, or plumbing, it's new piping, or a water heater. And it's about $30 a pop with a base fee. The building permit's a little different. Typically, the inspector's going to ask for a building permit for things like a new roof, or to have to rebuild a front porch. The cost for a building permit is based upon a percentage of the estimated cost of that work. So if your new roof is going to cost $5,000, they're going to take a small percentage of that, usually like around $150, but they're going to take a percentage of the cost, your estimated cost of that roof. All right, and that's how they estimate the cost of the permit. You're probably going to fall in around $150, would be my guess. All right? $500 though for any house, just budget that and you'll be safe. All right. Get those green stickers. And by the way, when you get this piece of paper on the right, email that to me. All right? Email that to me, because now I'm seeing you're in the middle of the race. You're running now. You're still in first place. You're moving your way. I want to see progress. The people that, I should have mentioned this at the beginning, we require that the rehab be done in 6 months. People that wait to the 5th month to all of a sudden say, oh, I'm going to start working on a house. Don't get mad at me. No. Those are the ones that get in trouble. I want to see you making progress every month, making a little progress, all right? And how I want to see that is you're sending me receipts. You're sending me copies of permits. And understand also, I'm checking with the city to make sure that you are filing those permits. So if you try and cheat and not file those permits, I'm still going to know. And I'm probably going to give you, somebody from our office is going to call and say, hey, we noticed that you're doing plumbing work and you didn't apply for the permits. Take care of that, all right? So you get your mechanical, plumbing, and electrical permit approved. You get those little green stickers. So now your water heater's in there, you got new wiring in there, you got new service. Now what you got to do is take care of all the other items on the pre-sale report. You take care of all those items, and now you say, I'm ready for the final inspection. Let's get this land, let's get this Rob Saxon off my back. This is my house, let's get this done. You call that phone number that I circled in red, all right? You're going to call that number, that's the pre-sale inspection office. You call that number, and they will schedule a pre-sale inspection in about 2 or 3 days. They'll come out and do a final inspection, all right? They'll come out, do their final inspection. He's going to take that, first thing he's going to do, he's going to check to make sure that all your permits were taken care of and got approved, and then he's just going to work his way through the pre-sale one by one. And I'm going to highly recommend, Harry Hummer was the inspector that spoke this morning, and we're going to put it on the website. I highly recommend you watch that video, because he goes through every item in the pre-sale report and talks about what he's looking for, all right? Every item, and so you know exactly what they're looking for, all right? His name's Harry Hummer, but there's other inspectors out there. And like, for example, here you can see the inspector that did this. I haven't met this gentleman, but that's the gentleman that did this inspection. I know most of them, but I don't know him.
How will you label this video that'll be on the site?
You'll know. Don't worry, you'll see. It'll be labeled, the title of that workshop was the pre-sale report.
Thank you.
The pre-sale report. And he went item by item and talked about each one. And I'm going to get it up there as fast as I can, because it was good information, telling you exactly what he's looking for and why. All right, so now you call that phone number. Harry Hummer, if he's your inspector, he'll come out, he'll go through every item, and if everything goes well, he will give you a certificate of approval. Some people get confused and say, you're going to get a certificate of occupancy. That's not what you're looking for here. You're looking for a certificate of approval. A certificate of approval comes with the pre-sale report. A certificate of occupancy is something different. That's if you were doing new construction, and maybe, or if you were building an addition to your home, and then the city of Detroit, you'll get a building permit for that, and then the city of Detroit will come out and give you a certificate of occupancy to allow you to occupy that addition. All right. In this case, you have a house already. So all we're certifying, you're getting a certificate of approval to live in that house. Okay? That's what you're looking for. And that's what it's going to look like. Once you get this baby, you can say goodbye to me. You're done. You just crossed the tape. Boom. You got the gold medal. And in fact, this one, I crossed the names out, but this is the very first certificate of approval we got for an auction house. We just got the first one about 2 weeks ago. He just crossed the line. He's our first house. Woohoo! I want to be able to start filling the wall up with all the certificates of approvals for all the houses that we do. I want to cover the wall with all of them. All right.
Did he go over or under 6 months to get this certificate of approval?
He did his, he won the auction, I think, in July, middle of July. So that's August, September, October. He got a pretty good house, though. Wow. He got a pretty good house. And he also brought a contractor in, his own contractor, to do the work. And he's planning on renting the property. He is going to rent it. Okay. So that's something I want to talk about. You might have heard me mention before that some of the houses that we're selling in the auction were purchased with federal dollars. They were purchased with money from something called the Neighborhood Stabilization Program, which was basically Obama's stimulus money. So we used that federal dollars to buy these houses. And then originally when the land bank was, back in the old days, the land bank took the federal dollars and we fixed the house up. And then we sold it to you. Well, it's a little different now. You guys are buying the house and we're helping to facilitate you to fix the house up. If your house was purchased with those federal dollars, when you close on the property, you're going to get what's called a risk assessment survey for asbestos, and you're going to get a risk assessment survey for lead. You can guarantee all the houses in the auction have lead. All right, you don't have to deal with that. But the point I want to make is that in addition to the certificate of approval, for these houses, you're going to be required to hire someone to do an inspection to certify that the house is lead safe and asbestos safe. So there is an additional cost and a little bit of extra time to get that inspection done. Even if you don't have this, all right, even if you don't have, you got lead. You got lead. Oh, you got lead. There's no doubt about that. You got to deal with that. So I can't tell you, I go in these houses and I see someone in there scraping and there's dust everywhere. No, don't do that, man. Do not do that. All right, I'm working on trying to get you kits and filters and goggles. I'm working on that. But there's literature in the back. One of the first things, if you win an auction house, as soon as you close, one of the first things you're going to get from me is a brochure on lead safe renovation, and you're going to get a brochure on asbestos remediation. Those are the two big things you're going to get from me right from the back, from the get-go, all right? Additional information. I'm getting myself in more trouble. Here's some phone numbers. So you can go to our website, and like I said, I'm working on getting it posted, whether or not you've got that lead and asbestos requirement inspection at the end. But even if you don't, you should still put that in your budget to deal with. You can come in person into the office, 32nd floor of the Cadillac Square building. You can call our main office number, and I think there's an answering service, and you can put a question in with them, and the question will filter down to me. As people go, I don't know how to answer that. Maybe Rob knows how to answer, and he'll get to me. Or you can do an email, or you can come right to me, and there's my email and my phone number. I scare anybody away from buying a house? I hope not. I want to give you more information. I can't say enough, and I think I was talking to you earlier. Don't fall in love too much with the beautiful trim you see in there. I want you to see that. I want you to see your dream in the house. But just remember the roof, the mechanical system, the plumbing, the wiring. Those four things right there are probably going to get you up to $25,000, plus or minus. Remember that. And when you have these open houses, I can't say enough, bring a contractor, bring a home inspector, a guy that has an eye and knows to see, who's going to know and see, you know that floor, you got to repair the floor joist in all this room right here. Or he's going to be able to know that, you see that header right there? Well, it's rotting away. That fire that was in this house has rotted that beam up, and we got to take that out. So I highly recommend that you have an expert with you when you go to these open houses, okay? Yeah, I can't say that enough.
So lead remediation and the asbestos remediation.
Yes.
Roughly, and whether we need it or not, what should be in the budget for it?
Depends on the extent of it. It's hard for me to give you a guess.
We're talking thousands, several thousands.
Again, if it's some pipe, typically asbestos, let's talk about asbestos. Typically what I've seen in asbestos, it'll be some floor tile and it'll be some pipe wrap. The best thing with asbestos is just leave it. If that tile's not damaged, leave it. And just put something on top of it.
So someone's not going to come in and say, you gotta take that out.
The best thing for asbestos is just leave it. Because it's when it breaks and now them fibers are in the air and that's where you got problems. And in fact, I was trying to become an expert in asbestos and I was talking to someone at the state and we had a great recommendation to use carpet tile. Because if Home Depot comes out there and you want to put carpet on top of the tile, well, how do you put the carpet down? You put those carpet tacks and they put nails through the tile. Oh, no. Home Depot's been fined for damaging asbestos tile. So they'll come out there and they'll go, we're leaving. We can't do anything with that floor. Or sometimes the warranty, you're going to lose your warranty because the manufacturer's going to say, that's not a clean, pristine floor you're putting my tile on. And they're going to say, no warranty. So the best thing to do for asbestos is leave it intact and come up with methods like carpet tile that doesn't penetrate the tile when you cover it. Or floating floor, and you just leave it. Pipe wrap, same thing. There's Clear Corp's presentation. There's things that you can wrap around that to leave it intact. But if you do need to remove it, if there are a couple broken tiles, you can do that yourself. Just make sure you don't break anything and carefully dispose of it. But if you have a large amount and you need to hire a contractor, then I'd recommend you get a professional to come in and estimate that work. So like I said, it's hard for me to give you a price. I think in the scope of works, our home inspectors didn't include it in the overall range, but if you look in the notes, they put a little note in there. And I'm not sure if they put a number on it or not. So when you're going through the open house, I would print out that scope of work, have that with you, and look for the asbestos so you can get a sense for how much it is or whether you can just leave it in place. Now, lead, on the other hand, you're going to have to deal with, period. No question about that. Now, here's how the lead test is going to work, all right? And if you saw Mr. Highgate, who was before me, he's a certified lead inspector. They're going to test 3 places. They're going to come in with a baby wipe, and they're going to wipe the windowsill. They're going to wipe window troughs, which is the space between the sill and the outside where the window goes up and down, and they're going to wipe the floor. Why do you think they wipe those areas? Why do you think they're testing for dust in those areas? Any guesses?
Because it's accessible to the kids.
Bingo. Those are the places where kids are crawling on the floor and they put their hands in their mouth. They're testing for areas where kids are. So, to pass your lead inspection, what do you think you need to clean? The window sills, the window troughs, and the floors.
Oh, does the lead blue from the paint? Is it blue?
Oh, well, also, paint everything. The pre-sale inspector, he's going to get you for flaking or cracking paint. So you got to do that anyway. But at the end of the job, you take that, there's a brochure back there, mop everything, and Mary Scottenfels was talking about it, mop the floors. A HEPA vacuum, not a vacuum with a HEPA filter, but a HEPA vacuum. Because otherwise a vacuum is just going to blow the dust all over the place. Clean that place, make it spotless. Now that guy comes in to test, he wipes the windowsill, clean as a baby's bottom. Wipes that truck, clean, wipes that floor, you're good to go. The other thing he might test, depending on what he sees, if he sees toys laying around the outside of the house, he's going to test that soil. So if you're doing outside work, you're scraping paint off, put some plastic wrap down. Because if that inspector comes out and he sees, hey, kids are playing out here, he's going to take some soil tests. And if he finds it, you're going to have to replace that soil or you're going to have to put some new topsoil down. All right? The best answer is, if you have any questions, I can get you in touch, or the state has a great website where you can get a professional to give you an evaluation and get a report like this, if you don't have one. If you're buying one of these houses and you're planning on renting it, you are also going to be required to register that property with the city of Detroit and have it inspected and to make sure that it's lead safe. City of Detroit, any rental property, among other things, you're also going to have to get that lead certification to make sure it's safe. And you can watch Mary Sue Scottenfeld's video, or video when we posted why that lead is so dangerous I mean, it's a serious problem. Kids are very easily affected by lead, high blood level, high levels of lead in their blood. I think they said 1 in 10 kids. Oh, it's asthma, I think was the problem, was one of them. But lead is a serious problem in the city of Detroit. Serious. Wow. Very serious problem. Because it's in all the, and it's all dust everywhere. And kids get it in there. Doesn't take much. And like she said, I'll repeat what she said, it affects all of us. Because those kids are more likely to drop out of high school. They're more likely to be involved in the criminal justice system. We all pay for that. So we all need to take responsibility for protecting them from that problem. Whew. Yes?
I wish I was here earlier. I know that there were some other presenters here at the workshop.
Yes.
What were those?
So our first workshop was Harry Hummer, and he was a pre-sale inspector. Our second speaker was Jennifer Ross, and she was with the Historic District Commission. And right now, we only have auction properties in Boston Ed, so if you're not in Boston Edison, you don't have to worry about that. Our third speaker was Mary Sue Scottenfels with Clear Corp, and she spoke about healthy homes, how to make your home healthy and avoid asthma and lead and all that good stuff. And our fourth speaker was Mr. Highgate. He was from an organization called EcoWorks, which used to be Warm Training. He talked about energy efficiency, and you heard that one. And I'm gonna have him come back and do some more workshops on more related to rehab, and then you got me. So those are our four workshops. We're gonna do this again. Tell your friends, tell them all the cool stuff we talked about. We're gonna do this a lot more and have a lot more topics. And if there's topics that you think you want us to have, email it to me, and I'll try to find an expert on that topic.
So if we missed some of the earlier presentations, the speakers at least, are the slides or the
Yes,
slides?
so what we're gonna do, this is being recorded, and as soon as I can find the right IT person, we're gonna get these up on the website so that people that weren't here, and there's a lot of people that should have been in here to hear this stuff, get it up on the website. Yes, that's the plan.
It's a lot of information. We've been producing videos on the site, putting out listings. I'm with the city of Detroit. If you go to My Detroit Cable, it was a link from the buildingdetroit.org, but we've been producing videos that definitely explain just the whole overall process. This is in a lot more detail, so we will have that up too. My Detroit Cable is our YouTube channel that has all kind of videos, and then of course buildingdetroit.org.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of videos that are trying, it's baby steps. So we've got lots of videos just to get people to come out to the open houses and buy a house. Now we're at the stage where people are in rehab now, and they're starting to fix up the houses. Now we're trying to do videos to help you with that process. And eventually we'll get some more videos that will talk about the purchase agreement and all that legalese stuff that's before you even close on the property. We'll get some videos on that. So yeah, we're slowly building our library up.
One last, you said you're going to be doing more seminar days. When?
Website. Keep your eye on the website. We'll post it on the website. I wanted to see how this went first. And once my bosses say, okay, that looks good, it looks like it was a good idea, now I can keep going. So you guys are helping me prove that was this worth it?
Oh yeah, we hear you really well.
Say it loud so it's on the microphone. Okay, thank you for coming.